What's up, fellas? I'm back again. It's been a while since I recorded. Been going through a lot of shit. Uh, my hair is a little crazy now, but this goes back to the stories that I've told you guys in relation to who I am and what's happened to me. Now, I believe this part I haven't recorded on some of this part they haven't recorded on video, but it's recorded manually, and so if you guys are not aware, United States has had a deal with Germany since World War II. If you know your history, they were the last to sign a treaty with the alliance, with the Allies, and when they did, it was pretty much useless. Since then, a lot of leadership in the United States have are German bloodline or German. They favor the Germans. In the 70s, they brought in German and Polish nationals into the U.S. government, one of which I have direct ties with as a child. This CIA, one of these CIA agents, a few of them, they hired a group of militiamen in Guatemala to overthrow the government and to begin stealing my bloodline from Central America and Mexico. Mine and about I think it was 3 or 5 tribes. I'm not sure, somewhere around there. And they started stealing us and kidnapping us, and I was one of the kids that were kidnapping. I was the one they were looking for, and they started turning us into the Vatican churches, and the Vatican started shooting us across the world. I stayed here, and I was placed with a family that has blood ties to one of the popes. Um, and with the one dude that's known as Melvin. People know him as my stepdad, but he's no relation to me. I guess he's the one that found me, so he stayed closest to me. In '84, we were visited by another planet. As many people can see me, and I see them. And United States brought them in and shot the men and took the women. In '86, the dude, I was born 12/8/81 on the books. In '86, the dude that was called my father, which I hadn't seen since, he took me to Los Angeles downtown, and the Pope came to see me. The Pope at the time, that Pope, he's wanted by Interpol, is or was, I don't know if he's still alive, and he was a Nazi soldier. As a young man, he was credited for creating mustard gas, and he worked in the Nazi encampments. Um, uh, At this time, we were in a cold war with the United Kingdom and some of the UN officials. As my bloodline contains the building blocks to all races, the Vatican was claiming that I was white, and deferred to say that if I was black, then I had to choose. They weren't respecting my nationality, which is I'm 100% Mayan, and so at the time the Pope came to see me, I looked Asian American Indian, indigenous, what they say, but I'm Mayan. And he didn't like what I looked like, so he ordered for me to be attacked and for me to be removed. But it had to be in a low fashion, not noticeable, because the UN was paying attention, specifically the UK, and so they hit me with a car, and I survived. I had just a broken jaw. I woke up. I was hurt but fine, and so what they did was they put me to sleep. Now I have a gift from God that only my bloodline contains, and does not leave my bloodline, and which is we live in a paradox. We live in the past and then we live in the future. And in my dreams, I used to see the future, and they put me to sleep for 6 months working on my skull, and they made it into um, a computer system, and they used this to control the global money market ever since. And so after my accident, when I was sent home, one of my neighbors, he came over and he raped me. And after that, random people would come to my house and take me to the Catholic Church. And every time I'd say no, I didn't want to go, some kid or some guy, could be 10 years older than me, would come beat me up. And the dude that raped me would pass by in a white VW Jetta, and it pretty much was code word saying you better pick the Vatican, the white car. And this happened all the way till I was 18. When I was 13, a Polish this dude Enrique Diaz, he claims to be my father. He's not. He's Polish national. Uh, they sent me off to him for no reason. I heard him trying to make a money deal with Anna Morales slash Larios, who's supposed to be my mom, but she's not. I heard him making a money agreement. And when I went over there, he said he was a sous chef, but he never smelled like food. And he was adamant about showing me his Swiss Army watch. He kept showing it to me, kept showing it to me. And one day I asked him, I noticed that he didn't make nothing to eat. So I asked him, hey, he didn't smell like food, so I asked him to make me something to eat. And when I did so, he made me eggs Benedict. Now, if you know your history, Benedict Arnold was a traitor to Britain. Um, the Swiss Army watch is the halfway point between Rome and Germany. And so what he was insinuating was making a deal. Two things. First, that he was working with the Vatican in Germany, and secondly, that he wanted to make a deal with Latin America, which is a term that they use, but I do not accept. And so what he wanted me to do was to pick the Vatican and rally our people to go to war with the United Kingdom, because the Vatican doesn't like the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom was the last one to hold on to Commonwealth, colored people. But they didn't think I would know this because I was young, 13 years old. But I realized that it was racially motivated. Later on, that same gentleman, he took me to multiple encampments in the hills. One was Mount Carmel, which is a church, but it also is a sect, like the Davidian church. When I went up to this church, there was older men with younger women, with girls, not women, no moms, and they were all paired off, um, and they brought me in there, and I immediately felt something was wrong. I told them I didn't want to be there, and they told me it was okay. I told them it was not okay. Later, they took me to another ranch up in Big Bear, where this dude Enrique Diaz, who claims to be my father, but I believe he's wanted by Interpol also. Him and his brothers, they brought a picture album, and they opened it up, and there's pictures of 12-year-old girls, around 12 years old, showing their complete private parts. And then one of the girls that they were showing me, they're putting in my face, they brought her in, and tried to hand her off to me, and I said no, and they were laughing and licking at the chops about it, and we all left except the dude that claims to be my father. Now my older brother was there, and come to find out that this girl is my older brother's half sister. And so he had her way with her, and they took me up to an apple field, and they said if I wanted to pick the fruit that I could stay here, and I told them no, I didn't want to. They took me to a lounge, and they sat me with they tried to make me play with 8-year-old girls. I was 13 at the time. And I refused. And when I went to sit by myself, they sent a woman in to tell me how it was okay, that in their religion they're Catholics, and this is normal. And I told them like, nah, I don't agree, and I don't feel comfortable. And when we went back home, about a week later, they tried to make me sleep with Reina Diaz, who they claimed to be their daughter, and they had her laid out in the bed offering herself to me. And when I refused to do that, his wife Maria Diaz, who's also from the other side, but I'm not sure if she's German or Polish, she started molesting me, so I took off. Anyways, when I was turned 18, they told me that I needed to take their offer, which they called the blood oath, and if I wouldn't take the offer, that I would be locked up. And they brought me in a 12-year-old girl. My roommate brought me a 12-year-old girl. My roommate had ties to the FBI. Their family had ties to the CIA. And I refused to sleep with the little girl. And I ended up going to prison for what amounts to 18 years. When I got out of prison in 2018, I ran across some ambassadors, a billionaire businessman from China. I believe they were trying to contact me, but at the time I wasn't realizing that they were speaking in the unspoken code, of which is the way the CIA talks. Double agents speak so that nothing is spoken, and we're not compromised, or anybody is compromised. At a later time, I brought up my uh, uh, I brought up the idea of the paradox and how they were using the global using it to control the global money market. I believe at this time, China contacted the UN, and this is at this exact time is when the U.S. sent out all its soldiers to fight and to say we were attacked. Now I drank alcohol with some guys off the base there, and they said that we weren't attacked. This is before I knew anything. They had reported that a plane had been shot down and something like that, and I was drinking at the bar with a couple Marines and a couple Air Force men, and they told me, man, that the plane wasn't shot down. You know, the dude just ejected. Something went wrong with the system. And later on, it wasn't until a lot later that I found out what was going on. But I traced this back to 2001, where people believe that Osama bin Laden was a terrorist. That's a lie. Osama bin Laden worked for the United Kingdom, for the UN, led by the United Kingdom as a double agent to explain to them my situation. He made contact with the good guys in the U.S. government, and they started looking into my case in the Twin Towers. Now, for you guys to understand the importance of this, since I have the building blocks to all DNA, I'm guaranteed sovereignty. And not only that, I'm born on this territory, so I have a right to govern this land. Um, and because I have a right to, you guys had a right to vote how much land I would get. Whether it be a city, a state, depending on the people and the amount of people, where your rights were taken away. And when I was born in '81, even though I'm not from here, everybody had a vote. Everybody has the right to vote for my belief, as I'm the original bloodline of all the races, and I believe in the sun, and that is my God, the sun God, and I'm 100% mine. Anyhow, George Bush ordered the attack on the on the Twin Towers, and he got rid of the evidence of my case, and it was set as a warning to others that decided to open their mouth. Um, in around 2003, they told you guys that they created Blackwater as a government-approved security agency for the Middle East, which was this is a blatant lie. It was created in 1997. By George Bush Senior CIA agents, the same CIA agents that have been following me around my whole life. And this is when essentially they began to steal the flag, because they created a separate government entity that was so top secret that no one outside of the people who working for the Vatican and for the Germans, the German insurgents, were allowed to be part of this gang, unless they took the blood oath. And at this point, sometime during this point, they made a deal with a black faction in the government. Um, and these men were used as nobody would believe that, the Germans being racist, that the blacks would make a deal with, be working for racists. But in fact, they were being used to attack military men's families when they were off seas or at work. And a lot of these women would be taken to these sects, these ranches up in the hills. They have them in all the hills in California and all the mountain areas. And not only above other campgrounds, but they've dug in holes and underneath the mountains. And a proof of this is the company where I worked at, which was the first company I worked at when I came out of prison, which was Tyson Krupp, which they say they specialize in elevators and escalators. But what they don't tell you is the professionals at excavating and digging under the ground and making bunkers. But what it really is, they make underground cities. And if you go to the Needles, California, Arizona border and take the back road to 29 Palms, you'll notice that there's hundreds of mountains that were man-made. They were not there before. They were not there when I was younger. These are a result of all the dirt pulled up from underground. And they've been making them all through Southern California, almost sectioning off counties, as I believe that, I know now that Donald Trump ran a coup on the United States, and Biden is not actually the president. He's just spokesperson or whatever you want to call it. And they sent all our military men out to war, expecting them not to come back, expecting them to attack China and be jumped from the back by Germany. But what do you know? That we have I have family ties that have connections all the way around the world, and we were able to make contact with the UN, and the UN made contact with our people and let them know what was going on. Um, and although they might not have understood it fully, at least they warned them to watch their back so they wouldn't get caught slipping. Now, if you see these burns right here on my face, this is a result of my investigations. Now, what these guys were doing, they're placing napalm ingredients into everyday gasoline, and there's two separate. So they'll have a no-name gasoline station with the active ingredient, and they'll have a gas station such as Shell, where I received my other part of it. And I use gasoline to burn articles that I want picked up off the trash, and so I know how, and I've used gasoline my whole life for, I worked on mechanics and all that stuff. So I know what color it burns and what have you. Well, I burned some materials. I was burning some materials, or was going to burn some materials. And I poured some gasoline in, and I ran out of the other gasoline. And I poured it in from the other container. And instead of burning orange, it burned blue, and it exploded. And it caused this to happen to my face. And so this is coming out of everyday gasoline stations. I have napalm on me. I'm watched by the CIA, the DOD, followed everywhere I go. If I go across country, I'll see the trailers following me. I'll see the RVs following me. I'll pull over. I'll see the ladies and men back and forth following me. So I'm not stupid. I know that I'm followed. I'm being watched. How is it that a dude that's being watched by the United States government has napalm in his hands? If I'm being watched, they're telling other military men that I'm being watched, or the people in the government that I'm being watched for the safety of the United States of America. How is it that I have access to napalm? And second of all, why is there napalm in gas lines? And what I noticed when I came back from Illinois was that shutoff valves from our gas our gas lines to the houses were removed, and they were connected in Moreno Valley. They were connected to Wi-Fi boxes, and when I asked the guys at the warehouse to check their system, they explained to me that they had received a new box on their sprinkler system, and they didn't know where one of the lines was coming from. And so they got in a panic, but these guys work for the government, and so they can't say anything. But I don't work for the government. I'm sovereign, except for the fact that the United States of America, the stolen flag, does not want to allow me to speak to the UN. And so right now we're in World War III. They're battling out on the other side of the country, but these people are lying to our soldiers here and to the men and women left, and saying that our men have left, and they've been calling their men are dead, and they've been calling men over from the Midwest, and a lot of families have been disappearing one at a time. They've been taking telling the men that they're going into underground bunkers, underground military sites, and their families are never to see them again. And I could see sometimes I could see the smoke burning from the mountains, and like I've passed by when I passed through Colorado mountains and New Mexico. The people there were telling me that they were being trained off into the mountains, into the plains, and burned alive. And I have DNA evidence and of that on me and on my property. And I second that, as the ashes were hitting my eyes and burning my face. And so it's also been brought to my attention that a lot of government agents, specifically soldiers, that they've been neutered or spaded, while in the military, and that a lot of their kids don't come out looking like them, but only like their mom, and they come out a lighter color than themselves. And so I believe that this whole time that we've been occupied by Germany in a passive way. Now it's become passive aggressive, and our bloodlines have been washed. And I believe that it began first with specifically with my race because of my bloodline, but then I believe that it trickled down from to blacks and to whites that are not of German descent. And everybody agrees with me. Families are missing, reports are being made, and it gets lost in the pile, in the upper echelons of their management. And so I believe that our system here in the United States has been broken into, and that most of the leadership here have a deal with Germany to take over this land, and then we're being racially eliminated, and genocide is being committed. Uh, Now, the problem with this is that they have the black faction watching me, and so it makes it difficult for people to believe. But I believe that they made a deal with this faction that they were going to give them their own land, and because of this, they've hold steady with their lives and what they're doing, and and so a lot of the young men and children, or uh, the reserves that were left here have been lied to, and because of this, these other factions, Germans and blacks, have been picking them off one family at a time, and have been raping and moving into the homes of soldiers that are overseas. And they're not allowing me a voice, but they're following me everywhere I go. Every prison I've ever been to has been surrounded, taken over by a special government agency. They call themselves the FBI, but everybody knows they were not the FBI. Everybody knows they were not the FBI, and so the question leads to no answers, because they will not interview me. They're not allowing me to have a voice, and this is what's happening right now. We're at war, and the news is lying to us. Our system has been broken into. They've stolen the American flag, and I stand firm that I'm 100% Mayan, and they're trying to force me to take a white wife, and a 16-year-old at that, which I don't believe in child molestation. I don't agree with that age. I believe the 18 is the age that's set for me and my beliefs and what I feel comfortable with, and I should not be told who I'm forced to marry, or who I'm forced to pass my bloodline on to, as I am part of the original race, and I am and carry the building blocks to all races. So I just making this as a as an update to many other videos I have spoken to you about. And obviously in my earlier videos there's a learning curve, but this is what's happening today and now, and that's why we're at war on the other side. And our soldiers, the soldiers that are left here, have created their own bases separate from what the men and boys, young men, have been participating in. And those bases were shooting at our ships and our boys overseas or in seas, and they overrun our original government's bases now. They've taken over, and we're officially under siege. And so, if you're out there and you're listening, we need our boys back in town. And I'm not racist. People are saying I'm a terrorist. Why am I not interviewed? Why am I not spoken to? Why am I surrounded by millions of dollars of expensive government agencies taking care of me and following me around, but nobody has spoken to me, and nobody has let me voice my opinion?